Yeah, so my name's Mark Cridge. I'm the director of London National Park City, and we're recording our latest Do London Differently podcast. I'm here with one of our wonderful rangers, Kate Stockings.
London has been given the first ever national park city status.
London, the world's first national park city.
Come and enjoy, because life's too short, really and truly.
And London, wow, what an amazing city.
So, greener,
healthier,
and wilder.
So my name's Kate Stockings. I've been a ranger since they started the ranger programme, so I think about 5 years ago, but not, 5 years ago. By day, I'm trust lead for geography at Future Academies, so I lead geography across their 7 schools and doing everything and anything to do with geography.
Great.
So teaching, marking, leading fieldwork, etc.
Fantastic. I mean, that's what's wonderful about our rangers. There's so many different backgrounds involved in so many different activities. And geography in education in general has always been really core, but geography in particular, because the original founder of National Park City, Dan Raven Ellison, was a geography teacher. Was that, there's other geography teachers in the group, or you?
There's a couple. Dan lives on in a lot of BBC Bite-sized videos, so a lot of teachers and kids will be familiar with him from videos of old that are still used. And there's a few other geography teachers that are rangers as well,
Excellent. Well, because I guess it's all about that connection with land and people and cities and how everything's all sort of connected together, which is a big sort of National Park City focus, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially with the kind of current curriculums that we get to teach and the way that things have gone, we've sort of realised that actually a lot of the stuff about making London greener, healthier, wilder, we don't necessarily get to teach at the moment unless we make space for it. So the current curriculums that we've got, which are kind of nearly 10 years old, all of them, don't necessarily reflect where thinking is now. So they feel a little bit out of date in terms of a focus on nature, a focus on reconnecting, a focus on rewilding, etc. So then there has been a kind of push amongst engaged teachers, I suppose, to say actually where is the space for this in our curriculum and how do we make space for it? And if we are reading these reports about declining interaction with nature, declining knowledge of nature, how are we making space for it to teach it so that we can correct it going forwards?
Fantastic. And who are you making space for? Just take a step back. Who are you teaching day to day, and what's their daily experience of geography and sort of these type of, what are they accessing at the moment?
I know, so secondary is my area of expertise. I think primary is better in terms of what they're teaching about nature. But in our secondary geography curriculums, if we're honest, a lot of us do a lot of global geography and a lot of local, urban and local issues geography. But actually, is there that much about biodiversity, ecology, green space, the sort of kind of the stuff that we can take for granted that kids know, but they don't. So the stuff we can take for granted that they know the importance of nature, that they know their basic plant and animal species, that they know the importance of biodiversity, etc. I think some of that's been sidelined in recent years to make space for other things, which are of course important, but we can definitely take a step back and say, actually, have we gone too global and too big picture issues and lost the focus on the natural and the local issues that mean you connect with the area around you? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we often hear that kids sort of lose that connection with nature, I guess, in the sort of age ranges that you teach. I mean, early teens, they're the ones who, when they lose that connection with nature, that day-to-day experience of it, they struggle to get it back, I guess. Is that something that you find?
Yeah, we definitely find a lot of our teenagers struggle to appreciate being out in nature at that age, which is quite sad to see. And when you take them on a field trip, we'll try and say to them, like, isn't it lovely to be outside in the fresh air, to be at this river, to look at this kind of beautiful environment? And some of them, not all of them of course, but some of them, their reaction can be, oh, but miss, there's an insect. Like, oh, there's an insect, there's an insect, rather than actually celebrating that there's an insect and celebrating that there's biodiversity. But it depends on every different group, I think. But you're right to say that as a whole, we do have a bit of an issue with that idea of actually enjoying and just enjoying and taking pleasure in being outside in nature for the sake of it and just enjoying it for what it offers you.
So you've been doing some work recently to try and sort of rectify some of that, I guess, or at least introduce sort of National Park City into the curriculum. Can you tell us a bit about what you've been working on?
Yeah, I think because I've obviously been a ranger and been in the communications and been in the groups about what's going on, I was really aware of all the projects that were happening in London under the National Park City umbrella. And I was following it on Instagram, following it on Twitter, following it in kind of the publications, reading about what's going on, thinking that the kind of easiest way we could do this to get the message out there is to try and talk about London National Park City in our classrooms, so that we invite students to then go and look up more, to find out more in their own time, in their own space at home, but we can get the message to them about these projects and about these things. So we wanted to make a set of resources that did that, a set of kind of fact files of things that are happening in London under this National Park City umbrella that they could use. So the starting point was the AQA GCSE specification, just because it's the biggest one in the country. So we thought, let's use that. And we went through the GCSE specification and said, what projects do we know are happening that can help us teach this? So we know that when you do AQA GCSE geography, you have to study urban greening. Well, what projects do we have? We've got so many projects that are going on that we can teach about that. We know you've got to teach about actions to promote urban sustainability. What do we know is happening? So we went through and found the projects and then thought, right, let's make a fact file of information about this project that a teacher can take in its entirety and use in the classroom. So we have had them designed so that they look professional. We've designed them so they can be printed in black and white as well as colour, which was a very important logistical piece that I was keen to make sure we did. And then we've got a slide deck that goes alongside. So the slide deck is the photos to use to unpack this more in the classroom. But the actual resources are, as I say, simple A4, was really keen to get them on one A4 so that the printing was limited, etc. And our idea is that when you think, oh, so in my next lesson I'm teaching about urban greening, you'll say, let me use that A4 fact file to teach that. So we've been very careful about the language we're using, making sure we're not being sloppy in how we're defining sustainability or biodiversity, making sure that it aligns with what we know is happening in the classroom, so that hopefully teachers can look at the pack and say, right, next year when I have to teach about sustainable river management, I'm going to teach about this project, which is happening in Hackney. And then they can locate it in London, particularly obviously if they're a London school, locate it in London. Where is it happening? What's also happening in our local area? I guess
what challenges are teachers facing? Why are these resources useful? Because teachers are super busy. Is it the diversity of content? How do the case studies really set up?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I think when a specification comes out, when a curriculum comes out, the textbooks fly out, they're published, you've got these new examples to use, and lots of people will use the example in the textbook because that has been, a lot of time has been spent on it, it's been curated, they'll use it. But we're now 10 years into our GCSE specifications, and you start to get to the point where you're like, I want to change my example, I want to change my case study, I want to use something that is either up to date or I know is happening and I can get latest photos for and latest facts and figures. And people want to do that, but the tension is the time that takes, and the tension is the research that has to be done to find out what's going on. So we wanted to try and do our bit to make that easier, basically, to say here is a project that is happening. So like Hackney Buzzline would be one example. We know the Hackney Buzzline is happening. We know what it's doing. Here are the benefits for you. It's increasing biodiversity. It's helping community engagement. Read about this and use it in your classroom because we're telling you it's up to date, we're telling you it's live, and we're telling you this is the latest photos and the information about this project.
Fantastic.
So hoping to make teachers' lives a little bit easier to bring this sort of stuff into the classroom.
So I guess over the past 10 years, the even how we talk about nature and the tone must have changed an awful lot. I mean, what again, tonally and the type of themes that you want to bring in, what's changed and what needs to change, do you think, and how we talk about this work?
So I think there's a couple of different things. I think number one, we've become more aware that we can't take it for granted. So we can't take a knowledge of the natural world and a love for being outdoors and a value of nature for granted. We have got to do our bit to promote that and to nurture that within our students. And then secondly, this is kind of more recent, I'd say, is there's a bit of a growing movement in geography around the idea of hopeful geography. So Mark Entzer, big a geography expert, recently did an article, but David Alcock is kind of the main person putting blogs and things out there at the moment about this idea that where is the hope in our curriculum? Are we at risk of our geography curriculums being a curriculum of doom, effectively? So a curriculum of flooding, earthquakes, superpower tensions, doom and gloom with no hope. So this idea of hopeful geography is saying, where are the opportunities to show our students that there are solutions and there are things we can do that are resolving some of the big challenges that we know we're facing. And that's not to lessen the scale of the challenge, or it's not to kind of skirt over that, but to give them hope so that they don't just see geography as a doom and gloom subject. So I think what we're trying to do with these resources is play a small part in doing that by saying, actually, let's look at some London projects that are working, that are happening, that are doing their bit to do this, and really importantly in a small scale way as well. So the 5 that are in the initial pack are very small scale, local, we call them bottom up projects in geography, because they are literally local groups of people or local charities working to promote front gardens or working to have a pollinator trail through one part of London. But what hopefully that will enable is students to see that even things that look really small have a massive impact. So when they then learn about the congestion charge in London as a large-scale urban sustainability scheme, they can say, oh, that worked as well, but it worked alongside the small-scale bottom-up that I learnt about in London National Park City. So in answer to your question about kind of curriculum thinking and curriculum change, I think that's been something that we've seen more of and will continue to see more of, is actually, let's be really careful that we are definitely offering solutions and offering hope when we're teaching geography.
No, I absolutely love that. I mean, I guess that's the whole National Park City story is used in the same way. I mean, National Park City story is about a common narrative, a shared story that allows us to celebrate lots and lots of different approaches that people within local communities and neighbourhoods are taking, often inspired by other rangers or by other groups they may be involved with already. I mean, certainly I was drawn into this movement because I'm a very strong believer that sort of change happens at that local level. You need the whole city story, the whole society change, but you need to show day-to-day examples of how everyone can contribute every day. And I think being able to pull some of that out and then bring it into the curriculum is really exciting.
And like on the resources, kind of the fact files we've made, we have made a purposeful decision to keep the branding on there so that actually students can go away and look up more. So it's really clear when they're engaging with this project and when they're engaging with the one that they're learning about, because they probably won't learn about all 5. A teacher would probably decide to do one over another. But when they're looking at the project to keep front gardens more wild and more natural, for example, they can then see the branding and go forwards to look up and find out more and get more involved in whatever that looks like for them. So that might be getting involved in a course or a kind of planting project, etc. But that was quite important to do as well. Fantastic. So that we hopefully kept that avenue open for people to find out more whenever they wanted to.
Excellent. And so where can we get hold of these resources? How do you get your hands on them?
So the initial pack of 5 is going to be on London National Park City website. Just download, put your email in and get it to download. And then we're really interested in hearing from teachers about what would be useful to use in the geography classroom. So what would help them teach about the movement of London National Park City? What do teachers want? What would be useful to help bring nature into the classroom? This is an approach to bring it into your classroom. But of course, within that London National Park City, there are so many ways that school can engage more widely to get people out of the classroom and to do things, projects, and be involved in a different way. But we wanted to try and really kind of deal with getting the message out there in the classroom as well through our resources.
Fantastic. And the first of many new resources, I think. I mean, obviously we're really committed to finding our role within a very busy sector, I guess, and helping support schools and education in general, and just getting more people involved in making the cities greener, healthier and wilder. So thanks so much, Kate.
Thank you.
Come and enjoy, because life's too short, really and truly.
And London, wow, what an amazing city.
So, greener,
healthier,
And wilder.